Microsoft just unveiled a new player count milestone for the Xbox One version of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. But if you're like me, I'm sure you've seen the conversations surrounding the game to be really negative recently. A lot of people are saying that PUBG is dying, that it's on its last leg, and that Fortnite is about to kill it. But is that really true? Is PUBG about to die? We're going to talk about all that and more right now in this video. What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, Man with the Million, back again with another video. Hopefully everybody is having a great 4th of July. I'm starting to finally get back in the video making mood, and this one's going to be about one of the games I play on the regular, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. You guys know I play this game quite a bit. I have like 21 hours in the game, have over 100 wins, over 1,000 kills. I play it quite a bit on the Xbox, and yes, it still has issues. The frame rate still isn't good, but you know, they've fixed the crashing issue, which thank God they did. They still got a long way to go to make this game actually work without any issues. Maybe they get there, maybe they won't, but that's really not the topic of this video. Now, Microsoft unveiled a new player count milestone yesterday for PUBG when they unveiled the new bundles that they're selling for the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S. So if you go out to the store and you buy an Xbox One X, it'll now be bundled with PUBG, which isn't the first time they've done this. They did this promo back in December. But in the press release Microsoft put out, they mentioned that they have over 8 million players playing PUBG on Xbox One. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that is extremely impressive. So basically 8 million players in 7 months. The game has, I think, been on sale maybe once on the Xbox, and yes, it did have a free weekend at one point, so there I'm sure some of the users that played it there helped, you know, raise the player count. So I think it's doing incredibly well on Xbox, but the conversation around the game has been quite negative. I'm sure you guys have read all the articles about how the game has lost half of its player base since January on Steam, ever since kind of Fortnite has come in and become the biggest game of the world. They're launching lawsuits, Bluehole's launching lawsuits against Fortnite, its competitor, and people have really kind of turned against PUBG in a way that I really haven't seen happen to another game. If you recall, last year, this game was up for Game of the Year, and people were really behind it. People wanted PUBG to win because it was a brand new, unique experience in the Battle Royale genre, even though games like H1Z1 and a few others existed. But there was that big debate about should a game in early access win Game of the Year? And oh boy, how times have changed. In less than 6 months, PUBG has gone from the darling of the video game scene to like a pariah. People look at PUBG and they just see Bluehole as being greedy. And the loss of its player base over the course of time, people have started to really kind of hammer home the idea that PUBG is about to, you know, die, so to speak. Now, I think it's doing relatively healthy on the Xbox One. 8 million in 7 months is a pretty damn good number, in my opinion. So I don't think it's going to die on the Xbox. It has a thriving user base here. You really can't deny it. And I think Microsoft did a good job of securing this game, and it's turned out well for them. It's probably sold a lot of Xboxes, clearly sold a lot of copies at $30, and it's kind of helped started the Battle Royale movement on consoles. So I think Microsoft made a pretty good deal by securing that game and then failing to buy Bluehole, as I don't think PUBG's future is the brightest, but I'll get to that in a minute. However, I don't think this deal may have been the best for Bluehole, and I'll explain. While they probably got some monetary compensation from Microsoft to put PUBG on Xbox, in the process they couldn't do a PlayStation version. So while the game is racking up money and sales on the Xbox One and Steam, there is another user base of 80 million players out there that are starving for a battle royale experience. And unfortunately, whether it was because they didn't have enough developers, enough time, enough resources, they couldn't make a PlayStation version in conjunction with an Xbox version, or who knows, whatever reasons, and they just couldn't get that game on PlayStation. And because of it, I think the viability of that game, the sales velocity of when PUBG hits PlayStation is going to be severely impacted by how entrenched Fortnite is over on the PlayStation, as well as how well H1Z1 is doing over there. If you guys don't know, H1Z1 just went free on PlayStation, and it recently had over 10 million players. It really shows how the console community, both on Xbox and PlayStation, really are craving Battle Royale. You have PUBG doing 8 million in 7 months at $30 a pop. You have H1Z1 doing 10 million players, free of course, in maybe a month or two. I'm not exactly sure of the time frame there. And then of course you have the king of Battle Royale, Fortnite. They're saying they have like 130 million users on all the different platforms. And when PUBG does make it over to PlayStation, they're going to have a tough battle against those two, but also the AAA games they're going to be putting out their versions. We know Call of Duty is doing one called Blackout this fall. We know Battlefield 5 is eventually doing one. They're calling it Royale. There's rumors that Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to have some sort of mode, plus any of other kind of indie titles, or who knows what other big games will put out that. So when PUBG finally comes over, it'll be yesterday's news on the PlayStation, and I don't really think it's going to do well over there. The competition's going to be fierce, and if the port isn't very good, because it's really not even on the Xbox One X, a lot of people are just going to be like, nah, I'm fine with my Fortnite and my H1Z1. So it's not going to take off over there. So Microsoft made a right gamble here, and it looks like maybe Bluehole didn't. Now, of course, when you go to the PC, it's a different story. PUBG is still the highest played game on Steam currently, even though it's lost half its user base. Yes, it's not as popular as Fortnite, and there are some other games taking some shine away from PUBG. You have games like Realm Royale, which seems to be doing pretty well, but who knows what happens when even the bigger AAA games like Call of Duty and Battlefield Royale release on PC, if that impacts those numbers. In my opinion, I feel that PUBG has definitely peaked. Its popularity was at its peak months ago, and I don't think it's ever going to regain what it lost. I think it's only really a downward path here, and that's kind of expected, to be quite frank with you guys. I mean, a game doesn't always retain its user base, especially in competition with clearly a developer that knows what they're doing, with Epic, who does constant updates to their game, changes things around, is fully optimized with great performance. And then you have PUBG by Bluehole, clearly an indie developer, can barely get out any patches. The console version's a mess, the PC version's a little bit better, but not by much. And it seems like the people who play PUBG are always kind of complaining about it. And you've created this group of people who hate PUBG because of how greedy Bluehole is, with how they're suing Fortnite, and how they view it as just a game that's kind of past its prime. And it's such a stark contrast to how it was last year, when PUBG was the talk of the town and was going to win Game of the Year awards, and people were counting down the monthly sales updates every single week. It was like 30 million, it's 40 million. I mean, it's at 50 million sold right now on the PC, I believe. Those are impressive numbers. But I do feel that it's reached its peak, that the Xbox One version will continue to do incredibly well. It'll definitely probably pass 10 million, probably even get all the way to 12, potentially 15 million players when it's all said and done. But it's never going to gain all those players it lost on PC due to the stiff competition presented by other titles. And it's never going to take off on PlayStation like it could have. Imagine if this game had launched at the same time as the Xbox One version. They'd have another 9 million, 10 million, 11 million players on PlayStation. It could have kind of retained and maybe kind of cushioned some of that population, some of that player loss that it started experiencing from last January. Instead, they took the deal from Microsoft, and maybe they pay for it in the long run. Of course, we're not even talking about the fact that they're charging for their game, and maybe how that in the end wouldn't be the best idea. Potentially they should have made the game free. But I mean, that's a topic for a whole other video. It's just really weird to me to see this game that was once, up for Game of the Year in early access, and less than 7 months later, people just turned against the game in a way that really I haven't seen since Lawbreakers, even though people really weren't on Lawbreakers' side to begin with. But people are actively rooting for this game to die, and it's such a weird thing to see, especially how it was really celebrated a year ago. But anyways, 8 million players on Xbox One. It does seem to be getting patched a little bit better now, but I do feel that the best days of PUBG are clearly behind them, and hopefully they can do some great things to retain their user base they do have, and not lose it all to the competition, the heavy, fierce competition that will be happening in the future. Anyways, guys, that's the video for right now. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Hit the notification bell if you always want to be notified when I drop new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.